Hi everyone, thanks for joining me again. I have a brief message today which hopefully you'll receive called Lord, Increase My Faith, that I think we could all benefit from, including myself. Today we're going to be referencing from the New Testament of Mark chapter 9 verses 14 to 29, and today I'll be reading from the New Living Translation. So there's a commotion going on with some of Jesus's disciples and a large crowd, including some of the teachers of the law. So Jesus approaches them and says, "What is all the arguing about?" Don't you love how Jesus says that? He knows exactly what's going on, but he throws out those prompts to see what kind of reaction he's going to get and get the viewpoint of the people who were involved in it. So a man approaches Jesus who says, "Teacher, I brought my son so you could heal him. He is possessed by an evil spirit that won't let him talk. And whenever this spirit seizes him, it throws him violently to the ground. Then he foams at the mouth and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast out the evil spirit, but they couldn't do it." So Jesus says, "Bring the boy to me." And then Jesus says to the father, "How long has this been happening?" And the father replies, "Since he was a little boy. The spirit often throws him into the fire or into water, trying to kill him." And then the father says to Jesus, "Have mercy on us and help us if you can." And Jesus says to the father, "What do you mean if I can?" Jesus picks up on something going on there with the man, and says, Jesus continues to say, anything is possible if a person believes. And this is the key verse that we're going to focus on today, in verse 24, where the father instantly cries out to Jesus, "I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief." Okay? We're going to go back to that in a second. Just to finish out the story, Jesus rebukes the evil spirit, he casts it out of the boy, and the boy is set free. Okay? But we're going to go back to this verse 24 in Mark chapter 9, which the father makes this statement. After he's kind of called out by Jesus, where he said to Jesus, "Have mercy on us and help us." Certainly a plea for help from God, which is great, right? Shows great faith that Jesus is the only one that can help him here. But then he added in that little bit of doubt, those three words at the end, "if you can," and Jesus picked up on that, and that's why Jesus challenged him and said, "What do you mean if you can? Anything is possible if you believe," right? So if we delve into this statement a little bit, it's kind of a contradictory statement by the father, because he's saying on one hand, "I do believe," but on the other hand, "help me with my unbelief," right? So those are kind of polar opposites when you say belief and unbelief in the same statement. How can you have one without the other? And this really comes down to belief or faith, right? Because that's really what our faith is. It's belief, right? And versus where he says unbelief, it's really doubt, right? Which is always, in our human nature, we always have some form of doubt, right? In this world, in this lifetime, no matter how much we, love the Lord, we've surrendered our life to them. It's not about salvation, right? Our salvation is assured, but when it comes down to faith, there's always that bit of, humanness, that doubt in the back of our minds, particularly when we are struggling with something or in a very difficult situation, as this man was, in desperation for his son being tormented by this evil spirit. Or as well, when there's times that, we've prayed to the Lord about things, and there's that waiting period, right? Until it's God's timing, not our timing. And in our human nature, we often have struggles with patience, right? And waiting on God and trusting him. And this is where that doubt kind of creeps in. Well, is God really going to help me this time? Or, when is he going to do it? When is he going to come through for me? Even though he's done it over and over for us and came through for us. So, but it's a very honest, I think, and vulnerable statement that this father makes about, to Jesus in his time of desperation. It's really, if you think about it, it's really a very raw and honest prayer that the man is saying here, right? He's admitting his limitations, his struggles with his faith, that there's some doubt there. We all face this at times, right? No matter what we're going through, and it's all throughout the Bible. Every Bible character from Old Testament to New Testament had some period of doubt, no matter how strong their faith was. So it's nothing to be ashamed of, that we should be embarrassed about or ashamed. This is part of our human nature, right? But we have to take that opportunity, that while we do have limited faith, we also want to take the opportunity to just have our plea to God that there is a need for more help, right? So hopefully when you see that, the way this statement is analyzed and broken down, you can understand it a little better, and really how we can learn from it, and we should apply it to our lives probably every single day, about a plea to increase our faith. So I hope you join with me in this, that you do receive this message, because I think it's important. There's nothing wrong with being honest and vulnerable with God, okay? He knows already our thoughts, our heart, our mind, so there's nothing we're going to surprise him with, or he's going to judge us or condemn us with. And I think, those are some of the best times that we have with God, when we're just totally vulnerable with him, totally honest with him, nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be afraid of, and just be honest with him. So I'm going to ask you to join me in this prayer for spiritual growth, to increase our faith. And just like this man did, with concern for his son and his desperate plea, that we should all take the opportunity from our hearts to say, Lord, I do believe, but help me with my unbelief. Help me with any doubt that I have. So hopefully you receive this message, and you'll share it with others who can, appreciate hearing it and receive it as well. And thanks for spending this time with me, and I hope to see you again real soon. God bless.